Hello, this is Dr. Bridget Solomba Malewezi again. This is the second part of the video series on COVID in children. The first video I was discussing sort of the symptoms and the presentation and treatment and management of COVID in children. However, we do know that prevention is better than cure. It's important to get to prevent infection in children. And one of the exciting things currently is the availability of Pfizer vaccine for children ages 12 to 17 upwards, so not yet available for under 12s, although globally Pfizer is available for children ages 5 and up. So again, if for those of you really worried or concerned about vaccine or COVID in children, especially your teenagers, this is an opportunity that the country is providing. Pfizer is available in country. It's only being given to teenagers as of now. This is the 15th of January. So of course, this will be updated as more supplies come and other people will be able to access them, but they've sort of curtailed and put this supply right now in January for teenagers. So for those of you who still haven't had your children vaccinated, please go get the vaccine. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. And it's true, yes, COVID can be mild in children and young people. But again, we just know that having a vaccine means that if they do get infected, they're less likely to get very severe. And it's really tricky. And I think we've seen that in the past waves that sometimes people who were not expected to get a severe illness do. So it's really important for those of you who have teenagers ages 12 to 17 to get this vaccine. Explaining a little bit about Pfizer. Pfizer is an mRNA vaccine. So these are the messenger RNA vaccines. Very different platform from AstraZeneca and J&J. So it works slightly differently, but still produces really high protection from COVID, especially severe COVID. So, the efficacy I think that's being reported is around 95, 96, really great numbers for that. And it's something that has obviously been in use over a year. As you know, and I think I've explained this before in previous videos, is that the reason why the vaccines weren't given initially in children or pregnant women is that because the trials don't normally use children or pregnant women for any medicine, any vaccine, even vaccines. We don't start using that in children. So that's why initially all the vaccines were just 18 and upwards. After they've proved that they're safe in that age group, adults, then they start to trial in women who are pregnant and children. So Pfizer is one of the first vaccines that's gone out really ahead and been able to be approved for use in children younger than 18. So as I've said, globally it's from 5 to 18. In Malawi, we're using the 12th age cutoff just to give these teenagers an opportunity. We know a lot of the teenagers in our country are going to boarding school or sort of not away in places where they're congregating with other children, so it might be an important and helpful intervention, especially when you're not able to sort of keep them at home all the time. So yeah, this is a great intervention. I think a lot of us were concerned. I remember last year schools were closing, kids missed a lot of classes. So having Pfizer vaccine available to teenagers is really, really great. How is this vaccine given? So Pfizer is given, again, an injection in the arm. So it's an injectable and the interval between injection is 4 weeks. In general, it's 3 to 4 weeks, but Malawi has chosen the 28-day mark. So once you get your vaccine, let's say on the 1st of January, you're due for your next one on the 1st of February. It's really, really important. I think a lot of people were trying to balance off, and I've had this question come up to me as well, was like, well, my child is going to school, how will they access it? Should they just get another one before the 4 weeks is up? No, please wait until that 4 weeks is up. This gives enough time for the vaccine to be most effective. You will recall when we're discussing, like for example, AstraZeneca, that we were giving a certain time period, and that's the time period. It was even extended for AstraZeneca because they were seeing that it's more effective when it's given that time span. For Pfizer, it's a shorter period. It's 4 weeks for Malawi. In general, it's about 3 to 4 weeks. That's the time period. But even in other countries globally, if you get it before if you get it earlier, like within 2 weeks, it's just not as effective. So it's really important that you plan and think through. I know a lot of kids have already gone to boarding school, so this might be a bit of a late message. But for those of you whose children are still at home, you're still planning to send them off, think through and discuss even with your schools. And this is something that you can discuss with your schools. For example, if your children are going off to boarding school, are there measures in which you, for example, the district where these children are going can provide Pfizer vaccine? It's everywhere. It's available everywhere. And so that's something to think through as well. I know a lot of people are concerned, thinking through. We did hear, I think back then we were hearing how it needed super cold chain. So a lot of people are like, so what's happening? How can it be available in very hot Malawi all the way to Sanje and Chikwawa? However, new data and evidence have shown that Pfizer vaccine can last up until like at least a month outside of that super cold chain, which is really has been pivotal in making sure that we have access to vaccines like this, because obviously we don't have super cold chain minus 670 degrees Celsius temperatures locally. So be assured that the Pfizer that you're getting is still of high quality. I think that's one of the other concerns that people have been raising, is like, how is it going to be, efficacious if it's not within the super cold chain? But this is new evidence that's generated, and that's why we have access to it in Malawi. Another question I think a lot of people have asked is, so does it have any side effects? Yes, just like any vaccine, as you know, any parent who you've probably gone through the vaccine cycle for babies, it's similar, but nothing major. Again, no major side effects have been detected. Of course, there's always rare things that can happen, but in general, the common side effects are the mild ones: headache, fever, pain at the injection site. So again, this is important for parents who are planning for vaccination of your children. I know that a lot of other parents didn't have this time to plan and think through, but if you have the time, think through about it. Like, for example, you can potentially have your child vaccinated at least 2 days before they leave, so that they have that time to recover, instead of like going off to school when they're like just super vaccinated immediately. So those are considerations you can make as you plan for your child's vaccination, and that's an important thing. But again, as we said, just making sure that they can be given painkillers. All the vaccination of the children being done now, they're even observing them for 15 to 20 minutes, which should be standard, really, to just ensure that there's no immediate side effects. In general, it has been well received and well tolerated by most children who are young. So yeah, this is vital information. Again, as I've said, right now Malawi is only doing to 12 to 17, so that still leaves children under the ages of 11 downwards not vaccinated. So it's important to really think through preventive measures that are not vaccine related. Again, the same things we keep saying, it hasn't changed, whether it's Omicron, Delta, or the original COVID vaccine virus. The message is still the same. Just keep doing what you're doing, masking up where you can, physical distancing where you can, limiting, sort of crowds and being in crowds. If you have to be in a crowd, doing physical distancing or limiting the amount of time you spend in those crowds, hand washing, sanitizing, really important measures. Again, we are hopefully getting to the tail end of Omicron variant, but that doesn't mean that someone can't get infected now. We're still seeing people being infected this late in the wave. So, and especially children, as I explained in the other video, that we're seeing more kids being admitted and being infected. So it's important for all parents to think through this carefully, make the decision. I think it's important, and actually helps in terms of like safety in your home. I think a lot of parents were anxious that they got their vaccines and then the kids were not protected. So this just rounds up the protection in your home. If you have a household, at least everybody can have access, or at least those who are eligible can have access to vaccines. And that makes it a little bit better as well in terms of your ability to interact as a family within yourselves and even with the elderly. I hope this information is helpful. If you have any other questions, please drop them down below in the comments, and then I'll be able to try and answer some of them in future videos. Thank you, and again, keep trying to access information from credible sources so that you get accurate and true information. Thank you.